Willie Robertson, welcome to Hey Luskos, brother. How are you?
Man, it's good to be here. It's good to be in Montana.
I feel like if there was one person who belongs in Montana, it's you. I feel like you and Montana are a long lost equation.
You've been kind of holding this thing a secret on me. Wow.
Well, people try and
you have invited me though. You've invited me a lot.
Well, I've invited you a ton, but the official word on the street is like, it's terrible. Don't tell your friends. You know what I mean? Like they don't want the word to get out.
This place is amazing. But it is, it's not the easiest place to get to.
Geographically, it's challenging.
You gotta want to be here.
Yeah. You can ask Lewis and Clark. When they left St. Louis, their line is just dotted line, just straight. Yeah, easy. Then they get to Montana, and it's like the dotted lines go crazy because they're like, how do we get over these mountains? How do we get through this water? How do we navigate the Native Americans? I mean, it was like, that's where it got challenging.
Right. I don't know that I could ask them. I think they're dead, but
solid point.
But
but Delta Airlines.
Can you imagine coming through here?
I think about that all the time.
Can you imagine?
On foot and just having no sense of bearings. You're trying to find the Pacific Ocean somehow.
How did they do that?
Bro, they had to get Sacagawea. You know, it was very complicated.
How did they pull that off?
It's a great question.
This is a big old place, and man, we have had the best time. You know, my associate I'm traveling with brought up a good point. Because I added on, I was at 700 Club, so it gave me a couple of days here. But had it been my normal schedule, I would have just flown in last night.
You know, people always
done my deal.
People always do that, and they go, "I'm so stupid," because they see it. They're like, "I should have spent a week here," because it's so pretty, you know, especially summer.
Like I called Corey. I said, "Corey, this is the spot. Like we have not found this spot. This is the spot." You know, with the lake, and played some golf yesterday, and I got to speak. Had a great felt good, and just kind of all the things I love to do.
So as we're
didn't get to hunt, but I'll come back.
That's true. It leaves some unfinished business, which as we're recording this, it's July. As people are listening to this, it's October. That's like hunting season. That's prime here. You know,
so I'm hunting. Here's this weird. I'm hunting right now.
As this is being played, you're in the woods.
I'm watching this from a deer stand.
So I was going to say, is it deer season in Louisiana or
October 1? Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be out doing all the things. That's Bo.
So yeah, who knows? I'll probably be speaking somewhere. I'll probably be doing some other gig. You know where I know exactly where I'll be. October 10th. It's the day before Corey's birthday. I am pheasant hunting right now. I am back up in this area. I am in South Dakota.
Not with your wife?
No.
On her birthday?
The day before.
Okay, you'll be all right.
I may miss her birthday.
Now,
it's not a big one. It's one of the middle ones.
At our talk you gave at the movement conference, which, by the way, you did such a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't sure. You never know. You know how it is.
No, it was really good.
But you do that all the time, don't you? No, don't you speak and be like, I don't know if that hit or not.
Yeah, of course.
Right. I mean,
yeah. But that's because, you can't see what God's doing. And that's what's so fun about when you stand in the book line or whatever, and you hear someone go, that talk changed my life, or God used that. It's just, you just know.
That happened on Duck Dynasty a lot. Like some of the worst shows I thought we made, I was like, that is the stupidest show ever. Someone will come and be like, that show was the best. And they'll call that show. And I'm like, wow.
They'll call it out.
You
like
never know, right?
It.
I'm like, you never know what.
Now, it had to have been a little bit invasive. I mean, you had camera crews around you every day, or when it was shooting, was it like just some days?
You know what it was like, Levi? Just like what we're doing right now.
Okay.
So I knew that I would be, well, actually this whole trip, I knew I'd be in Montana. Didn't know I was going to play golf. Didn't know when that whole thing happened. I played with a couple of your friends. I knew I was speaking this morning. Didn't know how it'd go. And then I knew we were doing a podcast. So once it's all over, I go, oh, this is what happened. I knew the skeleton. And so reality TV, at least the way we did it, was like that. Like,
so the producer kind
parameters of what. So it would be like on reality TV, it would be like me saying, you know what we should do? We should be in Wyoming right now. And that's not going to happen.
I gotcha.
So you can't change it. Like you got to be where you're going to be to have everybody set up and the cameras and all that kind of stuff. And so it's kind of, I would call like guided reality. Like you kind of know, because TV has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Life doesn't have that. You know, true reality TV is a hidden camera.
Right.
That's reality.
And then there's not a show that does that. It's probably
I hope
not
not.
even legal.
I don't think it's legal.
It's called the Truman
But
Show.
that would be how you are, which it would, probably for most of us be really boring.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, you know what I'm saying.
So there's a lot of playing up to it because
you kind of know what you do is what they you don't look at the camera, but you feel the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I can feel the camera on me, and they would move, and you're aware, but you don't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know until you get, like, I'd have my buddies on the show, and you just see them. Because here's the deal: when you turn the camera on and start recording, people change. You know, like you start changing, you start trying to be something. And I was
What's
always
incredible
like, no,
though is like your kids. They all turned out well. Like they all still love God.
So
like
far,
you think about how
they're still turning out.
Child star can kind of like that can be so gnarly.
Super nervous.
Were you worried about that? Bringing that into your home?
I mean, I was. A little fear. I try not to live my life on any fear. If I start overthinking everything, you'll. What are you going to do? Not take the opportunity and give them an opportunity to do something great. And so I think you fall back there to your authenticity, to your faith, to who you are, who you are, and hopefully you train them and they know who they are. It's one of the few things, Levi. So everything just about everything, most things that my kids go through in life, I've already done it.
Mm-hmm.
Been to college, had a job, got married, I've had kids.
Had kids, yep.
You know what I'm saying? All these things I can speak into that and go like, hey, let me tell you. The one thing that I had no clue of, actually there's two, I just come up with this the other day. One was being famous at a young age, never experienced that. And also, we didn't have cell phones, so I didn't have the internet, social media. That's another thing.
Those are two pretty big deals. Yeah.
I mean, I think all of us had to deal with that in life. The fame stuff was obviously kind of more to us and isolated to what we were going through. But but those two things play off each other a lot. The social media and the fame is what, because when we were growing up, you didn't know what anybody thought about you, or they'd have to write you a letter.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to really be intentional about letting you know if they didn't like you, or loved you. And so, that was a little tough and a little, it was just kind of, we were out there. But again, you just, man, I trust in God and I have faith and I felt like God had us for such a time as that. He wanted us to do that at that time.
There was a sense of purpose on it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Mission.
Yeah.
That's why, when we got the offer, I went to my father and I said, Dad, I want to do a TV show. And he's like, he didn't want to do it. And I said, well, Dad, I think we could get the gospel out to more people. We'd have a bigger platform. And he went, hadn't thought of that. And he goes, well, if it'll get the gospel out to more people. And he gives me a thumbs up.
He gave you the thumbs up. I could see your dad doing that.
Yeah, he just went, all right, let's do it.
How funny.
And it has. And he realized that. He's so funny now. He's like almost 80, but he's always like, it kind of reminds me of old brother Warthel. Remember when the guy went to the radio station and he's like, "Are we gonna press the flesh, Pappy?" And he goes, "No, we one at a time, and we mass communicating," because they were going into the radio station. And so Dad's like that now. He's like, "No, this is the internet. We're getting the gospel out all over the world." And so it's so funny him thinking like that. More than just a local. Now he's like, "No, this goes out all over the world." Yeah,
well, just like everybody else, I vividly remember first hearing about it. You start seeing promos and seeing things, and then watching it. And this would have been, 2013, 14. When did it start?
12.
Okay, so at the height of all that, and just being
you were like, this is the stupidest show.
No. I was like, I was intrigued, of course, because the duck hunting. I've never been duck hunting, right? So that world is so far from me, but it was fascinating to be into that. Yeah. And then I was touched by the family prayer, like everybody else. Like this, I was like, this needs to be.
So we didn't know each other at that time.
No.
Yeah.
I first met you and your dad at a Harvest Crusade.
Where?
Harvest Crusade at Angel Stadium.
I wasn't there.
Oh, then maybe it was just your dad.
It was just my dad.
He went and did a prayer.
Yeah.
And so I was the one who introduced him.
I remember him. Yeah, he went to that event and
it's like 30,000 people at a baseball stadium.
Yeah.
And he got up and gave an opening prayer and it was awesome. Yeah.
That's so funny. So, I knew he had went to that, but no, I didn't.
Maybe it was who's the beardless brother?
Al. Oh yeah, I'm sure Al
he would have been there. Yeah.
Yeah, you met my brother.
Preacher,
Al.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I've met
So
them all
you were-
at Sadie's wedding. I met the whole family
Yeah.
then, but that was at that point. It was just your dad and your brother.
We
I
had met before then, though, right? Probably
No.
on the road. So, really?
No, because that was
I'd heard you speak. I'd heard you
maybe
speak at
I know exactly
Probably
where you
Passion
and
or
I met. Outcry, Louisiana.
Mm.
When we came through with Jesus Culture and Lauren Daigle
Yeah.
and Elevation Worship, I was speaking that night, and your
Okay.
whole family came, and then they did
We came, yeah.
the broil of the crawfish in the
the
parking lot.
broil of the crawfish.
What do they call that?
Now we're doing the broil of the crawfish.
What do they call
it's
that?
a crawfish boil.
Okay, there we go. having not been a redneck from Louisiana, I do not understand the
Although
jargon.
that sounds like we will now do the broil of the crawfish.
But you have to have a trumpeter announce it every time. But yeah, exactly. It was pretty wild, but that's
We
where
had
we
a
first met.
crawfish bowl. Yeah,
and then
there
after
you go.
that, we hung out at Passion.
There
and,
you go,
And
yeah.
then Sadie came out and spoke and all the things. But John Luke was at Liberty when I came and spoke there. So that's the first place I met him.
Mm-hmm.
And that was real neat. And I love his love of coffee, by the way.
He loves his coffee.
And his little videos delivering coffee to you guys, very fun. Everyone's got their own little kind of shtick and thing.
I know he came and recorded me recently, and he said he'd never seen me. I turn it off so that because I put so many grounds in it, it blows out every time. So I have to start it, go about 20 seconds, stop. So I slowly let the water go in. That's my method.
Yeah.
So that way the grounds don't blow.
Absolutely. Very important.
He's like, you could just put less, and I said, nah, I want the most, you know.
And how many days of the year are you actually hunting and fishing and all that? Or do you fish much, or is it mostly just hunting?
Yeah, I mean, I fish. I mean, I kind of not anything grandiose, you know. I got a nice,
Like fly fishing?
well, some. Yeah,
Yeah.
I usually go once a year fly fishing. Never got super into it. But man, I tell you what, I tell you what I love doing. I get a cane pole. I go get worms. I have a little worm bed too that I'm harvest my own worms, and man, I just go out and sit somewhere and just wear them out. You know,
Old school, like Huckleberry
school.
Finn.
Yeah, it's
It's like
just like when I was a kid.
Classic, yeah.
We would fish every day when we were kids, man.
And that's the line at the end of the pole,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you don't have any, a way to reel
Cane
in.
pole, I can.
Yep.
At one time, I said I could rig a cane pole faster than any. Because remember, in my 20s, I worked at a church camp. So, and we did fishing. And so those kids are just breaking and getting them hung. So I'm just stringing. I mean, I can string one so fast. Now, my eyesight's bad, so I have to get glasses and those little strings
Little
a little
readers
harder.
on, yeah.
But yeah, I can rig them up. But man, I've caught everything. I mean, I think I've caught just about everything on a cane pole. I've caught a frog. I've caught snakes. I've caught
Stop.
turtles.
How do you catch a snake? They're
Gar,
coming for the bait, just like everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
I've caught a gar, alligator gar.
Mm-hmm.
The suckers are big.
Yeah.
Have you caught a snapping turtle?
Oh yeah.
Big old things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dad was a commercial fisherman.
Gotcha.
So when we were young, the duck call thing was like maybe one of these days, but
yeah,
mostly,
whose idea was it?
mostly
His?
how we paid the bills was it's Phil's. Yeah,
Okay.
that was his dream. It was like one of these days we're gonna sell a bunch of these duck calls, and so he'd come up with a duck call, but mostly we paid the bills by fishing.
Okay.
Like hoop nets, trammel nets in the river. We live right on the river, sometimes in the river. So we just grew up all over the water, and so Dad would catch 100-pound turtle, like weird stuff he would catch in those nets, all kind of weird fish, and
Yeah.
I mean alligator gar that were 16 foot long,
Oh, yeah.
like
And
massive.
that's a big fish. It's a scary looking, prehistoric looking thing.
Oh, yeah, for
Looks very
sure.
dinosaur like. But I mean, I think about like your family culture and being outside and being out in the woods and just how good that is. I mean, so many of the ills we see, of course, people need Jesus, but you also need time off your phone, just being in the woods. It's just, and how many people that's just not their experience, which is kind of the heartbeat for us with Movement Conference. Like, get kids camping. How many kids we have come who have never slept a night in a tent, have never known what it's like to look up at the stars after, you know what I mean? Like, just how good that is for you.
It's funny. Yeah. It's like, it's funny to me because now it's like what rich people do. So rich people go and they do the thing to be where you don't have anything. So when Corey and I just got married, we used to have this argument. She'd be like, because Corey grew up rich, so she was like wealthy, and she'd say, "Let's go camping," and I was like, "No, I grew up my whole life was camping.
Yeah,
like let's go to the nice hotel."
Let's go to Holiday
and she
Inn.
wanted
Yeah,
to go
yeah.
let's go hiking and then we'll sleep outside. I'm like, yeah, that was like Tuesday for us,
Right.
freezing my
But
butt
you
off,
probably take
whatever.
for granted how
Took it for
good
granted. Now
that
that
is.
there was a balance. I mean, we grew up, just because we didn't have any money. We were poor. So we just outside all the time. And so
what age were you when that changed? When you guys started to see some success?
Well, it wasn't until I was out of there. I was out of the house, I mean, real success was, I mean, they did better. When I was at the church camp, Duck Commander was doing okay. It wasn't until I came back and then kind of really put a bunch of business initiative into it. Because Phil, for as brilliant as he was with the ducks and the duck calls, like a lot of the heavy lifting on that end, and always kind of a visionary guy, but just didn't know business at all. Didn't know how to network, didn't know how to work with other people. And so, and mom, poor mom, like she, mom, I never thought she'd graduate from high school, but we filmed a show where she proved she did. But I was like, well, crap, you started having kids at like 15. I was just trying to do the math. Like, how'd you finish school,
Yeah.
But she went back. And so, she didn't know a whole lot about business or anything else. And so when I took it over, it was, it wasn't in good shape, the whole company, and there was a lot of debt. And so, and we were able to revitalize.
And what age were you?
30.
Okay.
You know what's interesting, Levi? So every decade I've had this, so like I got married at 19. So all through my 20s, I worked at a church camp, and really just poured into the marriage. My kids, had Sadie, had John Lee, had all my kids in my 20s. Then when I turned 30, I took over Duck Commander. So all through 30 to 40 was just growing a business on the road, what you can imagine. I had to learn everything about selling duck calls to Walmart. How do you do, all these.
Do you know how many you've sold total ever?
Well, now millions upon
Yeah,
millions.
that's what I'm saying.
Not up until that time. And then Duck Dynasty started when I was 40.
Okay.
So now I have a whole new decade.
That chapter, yeah.
That whole chapter was Duck Dynasty. I had to learn all about television, reality television,
it's like Taylor Swift. These are all your eras.
Licensing, you know what I'm saying? Like a big, because it's, the media and all the other stuff is, it's a lot of stuff because there's no playbook for
to
that.
navigate.
No
and
who am I gonna call?
And it's all
who
changing,
do you call? Who do I call
so rapidly?
Yeah, who do we call that says, hey, can you help me out? And so, and now I'm 52, so I'm at another stage, decade in my life, and so now we'll see.
What's this era? Is it the grandkids era?
Well, it's more of I mean, now I have 7 grandkids and 8's on the way, and I sat down with kind of a life planner, buddy of mine, Pete Richardson, and
I've done a life plan with Pete Richardson.
Oh, well, there you go.
He used to live in Boulder, Colorado. Yeah. People would fly to him. He got mentored by Drucker.
Boulder.
I flew to Boulder and sat with him for 2 days before we started Fresh Life and did a whole life plan.
Go. So you've done.
I've never heard anybody else mention Pete Richardson.
You've had the paper all over the wall.
What are you good at? What are your qualities? What are the hard things that have shaped you?
So that's what we. Oh yeah, and mine was. We were. Oh crap! It was like a couple of years ago, so it was a lot of paper. It was hard. It was hard to go through.
I was only 20 when I did it. But out of that, we made. It was not as.
You just had a couple of Post-it notes up there, man. Mine was like a novel, that was written out. But what I came out of there was I really wanted to teach more. That's where the book Gospeller came out of that, because I was like, I want to teach. There's stuff that I want to pass on.
Okay, so figuring that out.
I want to pass on to people. Really be real intentional about passing on what I've learned. One with my faith, but also with business and television. And obviously my kids are in that, and now my grandkids will be in that. What's super funny about that, so Corey set this up, and so I didn't know what it was. And I'm the guy, I'm an 8 on the Enneagram. My biggest fear is being trapped by anything. So like, I'm a little uncomfortable here. Like if I got to go, I got to go.
You know where the exit is.
And so, Passion City. I was sitting in Louis' church, and Louis bet $20 that I would never make it to the whole service. I got up and left within 6 minutes, and he won the $20 because So Corey says, "Hey, we're doing this thing. It's like Lifeline." I thought it was like an afternoon. We were going skiing, so it was like we're gonna hit it there and then go skiing. I'm gonna
get a couple turns.
That was like 1 to 4, and we're on the plane. We're going out there. She goes, yeah, it's from, Thursday to Sunday. And I'm like, whoa. I said, you can give me whatever subject that I love the most, and that's too much time to even talk about. And I went in there griping. I was like, this is going to be the worst. I'm leaving. And then it ended up being.
That's so almost tremendous. Identical to my situation. So I was a teaching pastor at a church in California, and I was had it in my head. I wanted to move to Montana and start fresh life. And they were like, no, we want you to, stay here and be the pastor here. But so they thought sending me to this life planner would help me figure out my where I wanted to go. And so I don't know if they thought maybe I'd change my mind and stay in California, but I came out of it more determined than ever that I was supposed to move to Montana. And so they had sent me to the Dagobah system to meet with Yoda in Boulder. And, and I went into it with a real bad attitude, same thing.
Yeah.
But it was refreshing. It was like talking
learned a lot,
to a therapist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the name of it? Now everybody's going to be
Life
Googling.
Plan. Pete Richardson, Boulder, Colorado. Yeah. Google that.
Well, I don't think I think he's still involved, but I don't know that he's personally.
They could,
because I didn't know Pete. I knew Kurt, his brother.
I don't know
Kurt
him.
Richardson, he started OtterBox.
Oh,
so he's a big hunter.
Yeah.
He hired me to come speak at the Northern Colorado prayer breakfast or something, and that's where I first met Kurt.
Gotcha.
Awesome dude.
Yeah.
And so I knew him. And so I was like, oh, I love him. And now Pete and I are great friends. And so we hang out all the time.
So funny. Well, you have to tell him I said, hey. That's hilarious. Okay, so Gospeller is the newest book.
Gospeller, yeah.
You were telling me about it at an ice cream shop in Fort Worth. Remember hanging out there?
You bought my ice cream too.
Yes, I did.
And I went back there since.
It's good ice cream.
Did I text you I was back there?
At the stockyard.
I was back at the stockyard in Fort Worth.
And you were telling me you wanted to write. I
was telling you all about it.
Because I go, what's this book about? And you're like, it's about sharing the gospel and why it's so important.
And you were one of the few pastors. I didn't tell any pastors because I know how you are. Y'all steal everybody's material. So I was like, I just knew it'd be like, Levi Lusko's got this whole new series.
A brand new series called
Gospeller. And I'm like,
you can share the gospel.
Took my material. And so, you know who I really didn't tell was my dad and my brothers, because they do a podcast.
They would have talked about it. They would have done it.
Oh, my dad would have said, yeah, when I came up with this word, and I'm like, hang on now. Like, he's that guy that,
well, if you're in the content business, you're always looking for something.
Oh, my brother Jace he's just starving for content.
So
every little
funny.
And then he'll put himself, he'll tell these stories. I'm like, that was me.
So I was killing an alligator last week.
Yeah, he was like, I was.
Which you did. You did kill an alligator this week.
I killed one this week, yeah.
That was the funniest thing.
Oh, do you like that? Yeah.
And you're like, who here killed an alligator this week? No one raises their hand. You're like, I did. They're like, and there's someone from the front was like, there's no alligators.
We don't have any alligators in Montana.
They go kill a grizzly bear, although they're federally protected. You can't do that.
Well, I thought that, when I tell that story, I was like, I'm going to ask, did anybody else do it? And I just kind of thought that was funny. I knew you'd like that. I knew you'd like the alligator.
I liked it very much. And you're turning
half my material was literally what's happened this week,
which is how it should be.
Yeah.
If someone goes, when was the last time you shared the gospel? And you're like, well, in 1987.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think a lot of pastors, probably. I can listen to a pastor and I can tell you whether or not how much they're out there in the world, really battling by their stories.
Right.
So if you're having to use somebody else's stories, kind of like Seinfeld, remember when the dude wanted to buy Kramer's stories, and so I
didn't see that.
He had so many good stories. He said, "I want to buy these stories."
I want to buy your stories.
Then Kramer starts telling his story, and he goes, "I own that story." And he's like, "Oh, well, tell him the story about this." And he's like, "I bought that one too."
That's that's so Nashville, selling your library of songs you wrote. Sorry, I don't own my library anymore.
Yeah.
Intellectual property rights aren't mine anymore.
Yeah.
That's so
funny. When you see what they sell it for, you're like, "Yeah, I'd sell it too."
There you go. So Gospeller's out there. People can get
turning darkness into light, one conversation at a time. I'll give you a little insight. So the subtitle. So I called my buddy Andy Andrews. Do you know Andy? Oh man, you need to meet. He's a gift. He wrote Travelers. He's written a lot of books, and he's from Alabama, South Alabama. Just a clever guy. Real wordsmith. And so I called him, and because he'd written so many books, and I've written some books, but I was on this one. So I was telling him Gospeller, and I didn't think he would like the name of it. And he said, "No, I like that." He's the one that gave me the idea. Every chapter rhymes with Gospeller.
Cool.
So it's like storyteller, swamp dweller. That's the first chapter.
Amazing.
Which is a little bit harder than you think to rhyme that.
Oh gosh,
Did you use
ChatGPT to help you flesh it out?
No, heck no.
You're not on that stuff?
Never. I don't even want it.
You know who I want to get?
I don't even want it near me.
You got to get Uncle Si messing with ChatGPT. That would be a good time, right? Film that.
That's a good idea.
Film the heck out of that. Tell them
I
the
had
concept.
somebody working for me that pulled that mood. They would give me all this stuff. I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. And that's what I said, these little suckers.
But it is good for something. Give me 50 words that rhyme with Gospeller, and you're like, it'll crank that out so quick.
Well, yeah, I did it the old school way. Well, I say old school.
You sat down and thought about it.
Yeah, well, I had to look through what they were.
And then dictionary.
He also said you need a good subtitle, and so I couldn't. I was like, oh, what's the subtitle? And true story. So I have a line of optics coming out. They're out now. This is called Buck Ops. And so what we have is like, there's a time where like the sun goes down. You have like 30 minutes, and it's a little dim, but you're still legal to hunt. So you can click a button on this optic, and man, I'm telling you, it goes to daylight. It's crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. And it's pulling in this ambient light, so it's not like infrared or anything.
It's like a lion's eyes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so we had the technology, so we made that. So I was looking at the deck for the advertisement, is what we were sending to the stores, and said turn dark to light. And I literally went, that's the subtitle
That's
of my
my
book.
subtitle of my book.
Turning darkness into light, one conversation
great
at a time.
story.
I got that from a business, which is so like my life. Like it's such a mix of business and faith, and so it was like I was sitting in looking at a business thing, and that's where I came up with the subtitle.
Some of the best ideas are disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking through Paris last week, and there was a Nike billboard, and the Nike billboard said, "The art of victory," and I thought, man, that'll preach. The art of victory, following Jesus. He always leads us in triumph. And then I saw a Gucci advertisement. It said, Gucci is a feeling. It's just like, here's this brand they're trying to like convey, there's just there's so much inspiration out there that can be repurposed, in incredible
I'm
ways.
obviously looking at the different advertising than you're looking at, because I'm not seeing Gucci and all that. Mine's like, some farmer's market or something.
Walmart. Yeah, get out of here.
Waffle House or something.
Well, I was in Paris, so it is
walk in and get wheelbarrowed out,
That's Cracker Barrel's advertisement.
Come on down to the Cracker Barrel.
Walk in, Buc-ee's. Yeah. Come and get some beaver nuggets.
Oh, man.
You guys have that in Louisiana?
Right? No, they're building one like 15 miles from my house.
Bro, it's a good time.
Dude, let me tell you something. First time I went in there, I think I dropped $1,800.
Stop. Yeah, they have grills and Yeti coolers.
So I had my buddy in the truck. We had just went on a deer hunt. My buddy's asleep, and he woke up when they dropped that big fire pit in the back of my truck.
Solo stove or something.
Every time I go, man, I buy so much stupid
stuff. It's like
stuff.
Costco for rednecks.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't quit. Like, I'm buying so much food. And man,
and the beef
I get
jerky
recognized
bar?
In there. That is my crowd too.
Dude, those are your people.
I have to go in like
incognito.
Hoodie. Yeah. It's
you got to wear a Gucci tracksuit or something.
It gets a little. Man, I love that place.
It's so clean.
I know the guy who started.
Okay,
his name is Beaver.
Is that right?
There you go.
That's the origin on the beavers.
There you go.
The more you know.
There
He
you go.
solved it for us.
Yeah, we hunted together.
Okay, so is there a Duck Dynasty line yet with Buc-ee's? Because that feels very appropriate.
No, that's a great question. I don't think we ever had any. I guess they probably sold.
I mean, Duck Dynasty, Buc-ee's is the collab that we all need. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like a Duck Dynasty onesie, in there.
We had some funny products, man. There's a Willie Lufa.
That's just
I just found it the other day. It was in my attic. So I hung it up in my attic.
For your hard to reach places.
It was some weird.
Your
like I remember my
parts?
face was on the back of like little boys' underwear. That's awkward.
Yet again.
Some awkward things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awkward products.
Who, were they pitching to you? Does anybody be like,
man,
no,
it was
we ain't
like,
doing that?
no, it was going so fast.
You're running and gunning.
Because Duck Dynasty is the A&E's mark. It's not my mark. So they were just putting that thing on there. Everything.
Yeah.
Just like, but we did, Duck Commander we had our marks as well. And so our big seller, this will tell you this is my crowd. Best sellers, $15 wine, Duck Commander red wine, tires.
Okay.
Fireworks.
Tires for a car?
Tires for trucks.
Tires for trucks. Okay. And
isn't that funny though?
That of all
cheap
the different
wine,
things,
fireworks, and tires.
Sounds like a bad combination.
That's my customer.
That's your people.
My customer.
So if you want to like understand, get in the ethos of the person you're trying to speak their language. So in other words, Montana is your people.
These are my people.
Cheap wine.
Well, I say that now.
Yeah.
But you got a lot of people moving in here.
That's true. The Californians,
looking
and the
at
Texans.
Gucci ads and stuff. So
it's
kind
Paris.
of a mix. It's like a mix of like super rich people and but they're yeah, I mean, when you come here.
And then salt to the earth,
But you can just tell, man, these people work. They're like, they're all kind of leathery looking. Like, man, I've been out in the sun. I've been, getting after it.
Grizzled.
Their hands are just like, super, coarse But I
love my people, man.
I love Montana. Yeah, love this place. I'm coming
Montana
back.
loves you. We'll get you back. Thank you for coming on. Gospeller is out. Get it. Audiobook. All Kindle.
Audiobook's good. I did it myself, and I put a lot of time into that. And go buy a book and start learning some tips on how to share your faith,
which is so important.
It is just a method. The message is always the same. The message is the gospel. Different methods on how to get it out there.
Amazing.
Maybe you'll pick up something.
Yeah, bro. Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to swing by levilusko.com and jennielusko.com to see what's going on in our world.
And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. And in the meantime, we would love to connect with you on social media.
Jennie and Levi Lusko out.
Access more